afternoon, everyone. As you know, my name is Shalena Cook Jones. I am your Chatham County District Attorney. And today, I stand before you to give a statement about some grand jury action that took place and grand jury indictments that were returned yesterday afternoon. Before I get to the substance of the indictment, I want to say that the importance of our law enforcement in our society can absolutely not be understated. Our brothers and sisters in blue establish a solid blue line between peaceful government and civil unrest. They establish the boundary between public safety and lawlessness. They take an oath when they are sworn in to serve and protect. But it's not an oath that they just take when they start. This is an oath that they take and that they live every day, every night, every shift, every time they get dressed to go on duty to protect our society. Even though their hours are long and their pay is often inadequate, their cases, like our cases in the DA's office, never end and continue to mount. They pay with their lives, some of them paying the ultimate price, as was acknowledged during the police memorial ceremony about a week and a half ago. To those brave men and women who do this job valiantly, consistently, with bravery and honor, we owe you a great debt, and you deserve high praise. However, just as no officer, no prosecutor is perfect, and we are all subject to make mistakes and misjudgments in the performance of our duties, no officer is above the law. See, we rely on law enforcement not just for their service and their protection and their bravery and their courage. In the criminal justice system, we rely on law enforcement officers for their truthfulness, their honesty, their veracity in their investigations and in the conduct of criminal justice proceedings. Misstatements, half-truths, misrepresentations often lead to a grave miscarriage of justice, where cases cannot be prosecuted and the liberty of the accused they're deprived of liberty. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not accidental, it's criminal. And with all these things in mind, my office, my staff, my prosecutors, my chief of superior court, and my chief investigator have put a lot of time and effort into combing through cases carefully. And it's with this announcement and all of this preparation that we present to you and announce the indictment of two former Savannah police officers, Detective Ashley Wood and Officer Darryl Repress. On yesterday afternoon, our office made two special presentments to the grand jury of Chatham County. With respect to former Detective Ashley Wood, the grand jury was presented with an 8-count indictment and returned a true bill on all counts. In her indictment, which is marked at SPCR 24-01636J2, she is charged with the following 8 counts: perjury, violation of an oath by a public officer, another count of perjury, another count of violation of an oath, and another count of perjury, another count of violation of the oath of a public officer, another count of perjury, and another count of violation of her oath as a public officer. The underlying facts of each of these counts is set forth in the indictment. In consideration of your time, I won't read each charge out loud to you, but I will tell you where you can obtain a copy of the indictment in the case of Detective Ashley Wood. Turning now to the matter of State versus Darryl Repress. Chatham County's grand jury was presented with a 6-count indictment and true billed every count of the indictment. They returned an indictment of, on the following charges: perjury, violation of an oath by a public officer, violation of an oath by a public officer, violation of an oath by a public officer, making a false statement during the course of a criminal investigation, and count 6, making a false statement as well. Let me say this: indictments are not a finding of guilt or innocence. They are a matter of public record. An indictment is not a finding of guilt, but merely a determination that there is sufficient probable cause for these 2 individuals to be held accountable for the charges that are listed in the indictment. An indictment begins the criminal proceedings, and these cases will be assigned to a judge and will wind their way through the criminal justice process, just like every other case that's pending in our office. Part of the reason I am able to share this with you is because the indictments are matters of public record. Open records requests and further inquiries about this case, and that information, through the Open Records Request Act, and because this is a matter of public record, the indictments can be obtained through the clerk's office as soon as today. We have not and will not rush to judgment in these cases. We will give them the time, attention, and focus that we give to every other case in our office until a determination of guilt or innocence has been made. Now that the criminal proceeding is pending and underway, we are legally prohibited from making further statements about the facts or circumstances underlying each case. But furthermore and finally, we refrain from answering those questions because we believe that under the Constitution of this state and this nation, that every defendant, whether they be law enforcement or the average Joe, be able to have their day in court and to be tried by a jury of their peers before a court of law. So therefore, in closing, we will keep you posted on relevant and permissible information. We thank you for your time and consideration today and your support of us and this office as we continue to pursue justice for all. Thank you. Any questions?
Madam DA, can you talk about how these alleged criminal acts impact or impede your office's ability to prosecute crimes, not only among these 2 former officers, but also any cases that they may have been investigating prior while they were a part of the department?
Part of the preparation for these 2 particular indictments has been underway for a really long time. And part of the reason we are presenting these first is because it has come to our attention that there are a multitude of serious crimes, murders, shootings, and investigations that cannot be prosecuted because they've been compromised and because of the involvement of officers. And so what that means is that my office and I have gone to great lengths to review previous cases that these individuals were involved in and pending cases that they are involved in. And in the near future, we expect to come before you, again, the press and the public, to let you know which cases we will not be able to prosecute as a direct result. We are not doing that today because we want to give both deference and respect to the families of the victims who were involved in these serious violent felonies and investigations. And once everyone has been notified, a public announcement of those cases will be made.
Can you describe the process that your office had to undergo to, investigate some of these claims that were made that led to these charges?
Absolutely. really myself and the great individuals who are standing behind me, in addition to their very busy caseloads and the work they already have to do, were instructed to pull every case that these officers were involved in. Right now, our focus is to address the cases that these officers were involved in that are currently pending, meaning that a defendant is either waiting behind bars to be heard on their case or that they're out on bond. And then after we finished that phase of the investigation, we went back to examine cases that were closed to see if there was other verifiable and credible information that the conviction rested on, excluding the involvement of these officers. And so the public announcement that we make next week or in the coming days will list the case, all of the cases that are involved, past and present. Any other questions?
How did these two indictments impact y'all's relationship with police? Does it hurt it at all as far as getting proper case files in order to prosecute crimes?
I have found my contact with Chief Lenny Gunther as well as and Chief Hadley and all the other law enforcement chiefs to be very helpful, and this is something that they were made aware of. We have had several meetings in my office so that they're not blindsided. I've met with them and managers at the city level. I feel confident that this does not impact our relationship with law enforcement negatively. I find that Chief Gunther and the other chiefs understand that in order to make sure we have great joint prosecutions and that we make great cases and prosecute cases, we have to work together to make sure that both law enforcement officers on his side and prosecutors on my side are doing what they have been charged to do. So I don't think it's going to impact our relationship negatively. As I said, we keep the lines of communication open. And that's my opinion and belief, but if I were looking for facts, I would say it's noteworthy that SPD dismissed these officers, investigated them through their IA, whatever their IA findings led to, I don't know, that's not the work of my office. But they investigated these officers, and whatever they found, they terminated these officers. So I think it would not be an unreasonable leap to say that they support our office in these two indictments.
Do you have a message for anybody that has spent time in jail or did spend time in jail, with the possibility that they were put there under false pretenses created by these officers, allegedly?
My message to them would be that I recognize that if they were put behind bars unjustly and due to the lies or misstatements of a police officer, that's a violation of their constitutional freedoms. And our job in pursuing justice is to make that right where that has in fact been done. And that's what we're doing. Now, having said that, I'm a prosecutor. I can't advise them. I can't tell them what their next step should be. I can't tell them what to do, but I want them to know that my heart is with them and I'm sensitive to their plight, because I believe that a deprivation of liberty under any circumstances is a grievous offense.
Just a process question. The indictments came through yesterday. Do they have to make a first appearance, and then would they be booked and checked into jail briefly and a bond picked, or has that process already started, or where are we at now that the indictments have been?
Every time an indictment is issued, a warrant is signed by the judge. And when that warrant is issued, what happens after that is a law enforcement issue. That person, not just these two, but I'm talking generally about procedure, will be, the warrant will be executed, they will be picked up, booked, and head into the sheriff's office to be processed for these crimes. I expect no different in these instances. No one has reached out to ask for any diversion from our usual or standard practice and procedure. So that's what I expect to happen.
Madam D, just an off-topic. Yesterday, a man was arrested for that Ellis Square mass shooting. It was brought to light that he was granted bond in an unrelated felony drug case. He was supposed to be ankle monitored and couldn't have a firearm as a condition of his release. Just your reaction when you hear that.
I respect the question. Today's press conference is about the 2 indictments involving Detective Ashley Wood and Officer Darryl Repress. I am not here to address any other legal issues at this time, but if you have a statement, you can forward it to my office and I'll respond to you as soon as I can. Any other questions? Okay. With that, thank you for your time. God bless America. God bless Chatham County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.